Hello kids, this is Mrs. Sweeney and I'm going to show you how to start our imagination landscape that we will be drawing at school. And here is a very nice sample by Lillian Dietrich when she was in 7th grade. It's a bit larger, but that way you can see it better. We'll be working on a smaller paper at school. So I'm going to put a blank piece up here and I'm only going to show you a little bit. So you can always practice if you'd like to at home before we come back. And we're going to start with stalactites that are up in the ceiling of our imagination kind of cave. And I'm going to save a little bit of space over here. Oh, and I'm using a special drawing pencil. You can practice with anything though. This is a 2B, which means that it has a black graphite that's nice and a little bit smudgy so I can shade, and a little bit darker so it shows up. I'm going to work high into my picture, and I'm going to leave a little bit of extra space over here. It's not going to hurt anything if you start right on the edge of the paper, but I'm going to go ahead and just leave a few fingers worth of empty space. Start kind of high, start my pencil just in this area, and I'm going to make a line that will look a little zigzaggy as I go across the page. And it's not going to be perfect. It should look very kind of unpredictable in a sense. So just watch me do that. I'm going to kind of be pulling my line across the paper in a very erratic way. Sometimes up, sometimes going down and up a little bit, down again. And I just don't want to make it I don't want to make it like this, okay? That wouldn't look very realistic. So I'm just kind of taking it across the paper like that. Now, I could stop anywhere when I start getting close. It's okay if it goes off the paper, but I'm going to let it just fizzle out and leave a little extra space over here, and that would be fine. This is actually the first layer of our stalactites, like you would see in a cave coming down, our formations. And next, I'm going to show you a layer to give it a little bit more depth, going deeper in space. I'm going to pretend that I'm going to have a far away layer. So now, somewhere along the line I've already made, somewhere over here where I started, I'm going to put my pencil, anywhere along here. Let's just say I start here. And I'm going to try some more stalactites, that jaggedy kind of up and down kind of look. I could even do a little bit of a double kind of look. And if I hit something, if I'm going to hit a line, an old line, don't go through it. Pick up your pencil and go somewhere to the other side of this shape I've drawn. It could be here, or it might pop out right here, wherever you think it's going to come out. And I'm going to go ahead and continue. And I'll go ahead and have it pretend it's going to go behind this shape and let it appear a little bit more. And maybe I'll just have it disappear like that. So now I have 2 layers. I have my original first layer of stalactites coming down, and then I have a second layer that's further away looking because it's kind of tucked in behind, has the illusion of being further away, kind of hidden. And now I'm going to have a third layer, and it's going to look like it's in front, a little closer to you, coming forward at you. So there's a lot of space up here, and I'm going to just choose some empty space, like maybe up here, start nowhere, and just do a little bit of that zigzaggy kind of jagged look. And then let it fizzle out and lift your pencil up. I can even come over here and do a little bit more, and that could be it. As long as you have our first layer, and then our second far away layer, and then our third, a little bit closer to you layer. Okay, now I know it still looks really flat, but it's just a line outline. We haven't done any kind of shading. So before we start to shade or anything, first, let's kind of give it a little bit of a frame, a little bit like a border. So on these 2 lines, where they kind of fizzled out and stopped, I'm going to bring them kind of just down. Not perfect, doesn't have to be a straight line vertical down. It can be a little bit crazy coming down. And then just let it kind of fizzle out when you get about halfway down the paper. And then over here, I'm going to do the same thing, create a wall. Now, I could continue this line down, but if let's say I accidentally went all the way to the edge of the paper, that's not wrong, that's okay. I can still go ahead and create a wall anywhere along here, bring a line down, and when it gets about halfway down the paper, just let it fizzle out and don't worry about it. This is just our ceiling and a little start to our walls. And a little bit of shading, that's the last thing I'll do, is I'm going to make it look a little bit more 3D for you. And maybe I'll make something pop out a little bit. So let's just say I have these two stalactites kind of coming down, but look how they kind of cut up right there, like a little V coming up. I'm going upside down V. Where they come up, I'm going to make it look like one of these sides is coming forward and one of them's going further away. Now I could do it either way I want to. It's just a choice that you have to make. So let's just say I want this larger one to be more forward, and I want this side that's dropping down look a little bit pushed back. I'm going to put my pencil along the edge of the one that's in front, and when I get up to this little tight spot that cuts in between them, instead of coming back down, I'm going to keep that line going and then let it fizzle out. Now, this one's in front, and the illusion should be this one's pushed away a little bit, tucked under. And I can tuck a little bit of shading of darkness right in that little kind of shadow area, almost like between my fingers where it catches shadow. Same idea. I could even do a little bit of generic shadow on both sides of my flat shape. Like I could bring a little bit up this side, I could bring a little bit up on the other side, and keep the middle where my finger is a little brighter and whiter, like a highlight where light touches it, where it's sticking out, and shade it on the sides a little bit. I could even enhance my shadow, like where it tucks in a little deeper. I could even bring some shadow up and create a little groove, and then a ridge is where it's highlighted. So I could make things up as I go, just as I learn to shade a little bit better. And where it tucks in deep and cuts into the ceiling here, I could add a little pocket of shadow and do the same thing. So you can kind of play around with shading as you go. If I want this to pop forward, I could drop a little bit of shadow down from that line, like it's a drop shadow. And this shape, I could even shade it a little bit and give it a little bit of a 3D look. Now I'm just introducing a little tiny bit of shading if you want to practice a little bit sooner, but I'll show you a lot more shading in the future. Okay, thank you. Till next time.